Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, and you're watching Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And today I'm doing a review for American Horror Story double feature. Season 10 is finally here. And like I said, I'm doing a review for it. So before I get into today's review, make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. As D always says, podcast link down in the description. Make sure that you like, follow, subscribe. So let's go ahead and get into today's review. So what I loved about this is that it was 2 episodes, and also what I'm loving about this is that next week's episode, which I'm also hoping that we get another 2 episodes, is going to be a completely different episode overall. Part 1 was called Red Tide, and then part 2 next week is going to be called Death Valley. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing if Death Valley is going to be a 2-part episode. But man, this one, it was incredible. I know that we just had American Horror Stories a few weeks ago, but this, man, it feels good to have American Horror Story back. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen this season, because season 9, 1984, it was okay. It started off good, but then by the end, it kind of fizzled out. But there are some people who loved 1984 and they thought it was good all the way through. But if you're one of those people that thought that it started off good and then it kind of soured towards the end, just let me know in the comments. And if you did love it, let me know in the comments and tell me why you loved it. But yeah, season 10 double feature. It starts off with the Gardners, and they're moving from New York to Providencetown, Massachusetts. And the reason why they're moving there is because Harry Gardner, who is the lead character in this season, his wife Doris and Alma, they're driving there, and Alma, she's counting all of the dead animals that she sees on the roadkill. And while they're driving, they end up encountering a dead animal, a giant deer that's on the road. And Harry, he ends up getting out of the car, he checks it out, and he's just like, yo, what's going on here? Because it looks like something attacked this deer and that it wasn't hit in the road. Harry, he's a TV writer. Alma, she's a violinist. And pretty much Harry just needs to, go somewhere so that way that he can help with the writer's block that he has, so that way he can start writing a pilot for a TV show that he's working on. And as the Gardners get settled in the town, Doris and Alma, they're going out for a walk one day, and then they're walking past a graveyard, and they see this man in a trench coat, sharp teeth, and he starts chasing them. And like, I'm sitting here watching that episode, and I'm just like, yo, what the hell is going on, man? Because it was crazy. And they ended up running back to the house. Harry locked all the doors, and like, this dude was sitting there banging on the windows, man. And it was just crazy. It's crazy that, this is what starts our episode, and it starts it off with a bang, because I see this dude, it's like, I would have been running too. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, this guy, he just looked insane. And they end up calling the cops, and Chief Burleson, she tells them that it was just an opioid addict. This town is safe. You guys don't have anything to worry about. But I'm just like, come on now. Like, don't no opioid addict look like that. And later on, Harry, he's walking on the beach, and then he ends up finding some dead bodies. And it's just like, it's the same thing like with the deer. And also too, we see a fox get snatched up too. So they tell him the same thing again, like they don't know what's going on, yada, 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 this and that. And, later on, we see that Alma, she's trying to practice and like hit this, one of the notes while she's playing the violin, but she's having trouble doing it. Harry, he can't focus on doing what he needs to do, and he's having writer's block. I guess you could say Alma, she's having a mental block on hitting the perfect note, the perfect cast from a Goofy movie. And everybody's just wind up. So Harry and Doris, they end up talking about going out for dinner just to get out of the house after everything that's been going on. And Doris, she ends up staying at the house, and Harry, he ends up meeting Belle Noor and Austin Somers, who are also respected people in their field. She's a erotica novelist, and Austin, he's a playwright. And what happens is they like what Harry is and what he's doing. They see that he is a person that has potential to be very talented, and this is what leads to Harry getting the black pill known as the Muse. And this pill, it pretty much it helps people that have talents. It unlocks their talents and makes them better at the talent that they have. And when Harry takes this thing, he's able to write the play in 4 hours. And Doris, she's concerned about her husband because of how he's acting and whatnot. And also Alma, she's concerned too because they were supposed to end up leaving after Harry gets back that night, and he ends up killing the same dude in the trench coat that tried to get into their house before because one of the windows was open. And we come to find out that Austin tells Harry that these are people who once took the drug, and because they weren't talented, they ended up turning into these monsters. Because we end up seeing when Harry is out in the streets by himself, like he's surrounded by them, and like they all look the same. They all look like your standard bad guys in a beat 'em up game. They all surround him, but they don't do anything to him because Harry has taken this pill now. So now he's one of them. Also too, Harry, because he's starting to become one of them, like he can't eat food. Like food, it just tastes horrible to him. Like he wants blood. So he goes to the grocery store, he gets a bunch of meat, and he's just drinking the meat straight from the packages, and then he ends up blending it all up and just getting all of the blood that's out of this meat. He even starts sucking Doris's finger when she cuts herself because like he just has a thirst for blood. And he ends up going back to Austin, and like that's when Austin explains to him that the reason why you're able to do what you're doing now is because you have the muse. The muse is what's helping you. And then unfortunately Alma, she ends up taking it as well in the second episode, and now she's able to play the violin perfectly. Like she's able to do what she needs to do. Now also too, one of the side effects with taking this drug is that it turns you into like a different type of person, like because Harry and Alma, like they were both mean to Doris and just talking to her like she was nothing. And Doris, she ended up winning something on Instagram where it was like a housing contest or something like that. And she's like, I'm just as big as you guys, but they're just like, no, like you just won something on Instagram and like it's not as significant as what we're doing. And this really hurts Doris's feelings. And also too, I forgot to mention, Doris, she's pregnant as well. So also another thing too, Harry, who was trying to hide that he's becoming a monster, he goes to a dentist who ends up cutting his teeth down so that way that he won't end up eating it'll kind of crave the hunger, you know what I'm saying? And the dentist is Leslie Feldman, played by Billy Lord, who we just also saw in American Horror Stories. And it was cool seeing her back in this, and like she's amused as well. And it's just interesting to see that there are people that live in this town who are, I mean, not amused, like they're these monsters, but they've been living here. They've nothing bad has happened to them, and the way that they've been feeding off of people is they've been feeding off of people from Craigslist. Like they meet up with people and they kill them, and then that's how they get their nourishment. So yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. I mean, it is messed up too that we see at the end of episode 2 that Doris, she's looking for Alma because Harry just let her go out and walk in the neighborhood, and like Doris is just like, yo, like this town isn't safe. And she ends up finding Alma with like she's eating like a dead rabbit, like she's sucking the blood from it, and she's surrounded by the other monsters and stuff like that. And it's just wild, man. Like it was definitely a good ending to the episode, and I'm just looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next. We also had Sarah Paulson. It's good to see her back. She's her vocalist. I messed up. Her vocalist Karen. There we go. I don't know what I was trying to say, but it was cool seeing her again. Like they consider her the crazy woman around town, but it's because she sees everything that goes on. And then we also have Macaulay Culkin, who is Mickey, and he's the local prostitute, and he wants to take the muse, and he ends up doing it because he wants to be a screenwriter himself. And it's starting to open up his natural talents. And also too, when you take this pill, like it makes you succeed in life. So it makes sense why you see that these people are very successful at where they are in life, because they've taken the muse. And it's just going to be interesting to see what's going to happen next. So I'm going to go ahead and give both of these episodes as a whole, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It was a good way to start off the season, and I can't wait to see Death Valley next week and see what happens next. What I'm assuming is that because we've seen in all of the promotional art for this show that the monsters and the aliens are connected by this pill. So I'm assuming that, that this pill has something to do with the aliens. Maybe, it's alien blood or something. Who knows? We're going to find out more about it. But 9 out of 10. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this week's episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What do you give it as an overall rating? You know where you can find me, your hero Benjamin Banks at KingBenji_Banks on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find me on Facebook at Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. Make sure you also check out some more of our reviews, our interviews and reaction videos that we do have here on the channel. Podcast, brand new episodes come out every Tuesday, and then the video of that episode is on our YouTube that Friday. Like I always say, keep that pinky up, stay positive. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Peace.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching another episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the channel. Podcast, we got that too. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit that bell for further episodes and notifications. Thanks a lot to our patrons. And if you don't mind, join the Patreon. We'll be having new specials coming up soon.